Hi guys, I'm Julianne Dury, as you well know. And today I will be presenting my portfolio. So we're just gonna jump right on in. The first section, as you guys well know, is the integrative essay. And so the two extra stories or characters that I chose from the Bible were, first I chose Daniel in the Old Testament, and then I chose Paul in the New Testament. And with Daniel, I just discussed the fact that he was a foreigner going into a foreign land. So just like the Israelites were going into a foreign land, the Lord went before them and he cleared the way and he told them to be strong and courageous. And I really feel like Daniel just embodied that, because as I mentioned too in the essay and as it is in the Bible, he was thrown into a lion's den and he just had multiple things that he went through, but through it all, the Lord was with him, and he loved the Lord so much, and he feared the Lord, and so it made a way so then he didn't fear man. And I found that so amazing and just a great testimony of how I want my life to reflect, because a lot of times I can fear man. So, and then Paul, poor Paul, he had a later conversion in life, and but after that he was just so zealous for the Lord, and he did so many wonderful things, and he went through again so much, probably more than Daniel. He was shipwrecked, he was beaten, he was chased out of towns, and all these different things, and yet he held fast to the Lord and loved the Lord, and the Lord gave him so much strength and so much courage, and he's the one who wrote the passage in 2 Timothy, and so I just think it was so wonderful that he wrote that, because I really feel like he handled the Word of God so well, and he is approved by God. I feel like, he is. And so, as with Daniel, I just feel like they both knew the Word of God so well and lived it out, and they were not fearful. Anyway, so that was what I first discussed in the first component. And then the second component was the personal analysis. This was both fun and hard. I think some of the sections were easier than the others. The environmental scan was really interesting, and I felt like a lot of it had to do with the climate that we are in now, the reason we can't meet face to face because of COVID, and just the fact that it's election year, and there's just a lot of tension in the world. And so the environmental scan was interesting and a little challenging, just because I'm like, I don't exactly know what all to incorporate and what not to incorporate. So that was the first part. And then the stakeholders was fun. I feel like I've done something similar in the past, but just with like one or two people, and so it was really good to think through everybody who has helped me become the person I am today. And so I think some of them are kind of cheesy, but true. I had my parents in there. They really just taught me a lot, and taught me a lot of things to do and a lot of things not to do. And so without them and without their example in my life, whether good, bad, or indifferent, they have made me who I am today. And then I had my grandpa. He passed away it'll be 9 years in November, and he just loved the Lord. He kind of reminds me of Paul. He was just so zealous and jealous for the Lord and for the spread of the gospel, and he spent all his days just pursuing Christ. And so I've just learned so much from him, and I love him, miss him so much, but he has just showed me what it is to be a Christ follower. I also had my best friend from high school, Abby. She just built me up, and she's again just pointed me back to Christ time and time again. And I have like my discipler and Christ. And so I also had some teachers in there just who believed in me and who wanted to see their students succeed. And so they didn't take the time, or they did take the time when they saw that I was struggling in a subject or whatever, to really just show me self-worth and to show me what determination is. And so those are a couple of my stakeholders. I could, tell you stories about them all day, but they kind of helped lead into the life lessons. Some life lessons I learned that, anger doesn't solve anything. I was kind of the angry kid growing up, and I still kind of can tend to be angry, even though I might not outwardly show it. It bubbles on the inside. And so we're commanded, that's a sin, so we're commanded not to sit or be angry and stuff like that. And so, and it just doesn't solve anything. It really doesn't. I'm trying to think of another one that I wrote down. Oh, perfection is crippling. I used to be super type A, and I'm still kind of working on it, but perfection is crippling. We can't be perfect on this side of eternity, and it causes anxiety in my own heart. So perfection is crippling. Core values and vision statement. It was really cool because I found an assignment that I did in high school, and so I was able to kind of like use and some of that information that I had already gone through, and it was really awesome because I just love to see how those values I set a couple years ago are still so prevalent today. And then the personal SWOT analysis was so difficult. I think it's easy for us to see our own weaknesses. I know for me that was actually, I skipped over the strengths section and went straight to the weaknesses because a lot of times I think we just point out our own flaws, and I'm sure I could have listed like a million more things and in more detail, but I tried to keep it kind of simple. But yes, and then opportunities were interesting just because, again, because of the climate, it's hard to identify what may have been an opportunity, may not be an opportunity now. And then obviously like threats are the fact that the economy is unstable, well, suffering, maybe not unstable, but suffering, and unemployment is high, and all these different things. And so as well as just like looking to my future, it was interesting and challenging. The statement of competitive advantage, I don't have it pulled up, but it was concise and good. It went along the lines of, being eager to learn and willing to work hard and everything like that. So, as well as my SMART goals, I was like, what are my goals in life? So I really appreciated this section. Some of them pertain to, personal life, like, I want to be able to, I was supposed to take a trip in 2 weeks to Europe, but that was canceled, and stuff like that. And so I want to just make sure I go on a trip in a year, and then one had to do with dealing with debt. And so some of those just, more common ones. The career exploration, some job titles I found in the business world were just like, administrative service manager, so kind of just like an office manager. I actually went further. That was the one where I built my resume for, just because I'm still not sure what I want to do with life after college. I'm not even sure if I want to continue on in business or if I want to go back to school and get like a master's degree in education or whatever. So that one, that's administrative service manager, is probably one that I think would be most suitable for my life after college, just because it's in the business field, but it's not something so specific, and it may help me learn that I do want to further on in business, or look more the entrepreneurial route, as that is my concentration and stuff like that. And so the job, that was good. That's what I created my resume and my cover letter for. And then my LinkedIn profile, I just linked it in the section, the hyperlink. And then for my miscellaneous, my artifacts, I don't know, some of you know, I have actually only been at Sterling for a year and a half. So I don't have like all these things I can pull from, but one of the artifacts I mentioned, and then I submitted it alongside the portfolio, is actually my Entrepreneurship 2 class. We had to do like a research paper presentation over the components of a business plan. And being an entrepreneur, obviously as an entrepreneur class, I think it was really good to just like work through each of the components of a business plan. And then we also like studied a mock business plan, and so to like analyze that and see where they had strengths and where they had weaknesses was really good. And so that was one of my artifacts. And then my second artifact was one I couldn't really like show, but it had to do with my internship last fall, or just the fall that just passed. I interned with the admissions office in here at Sterling, and so that was really good, but a lot of what I worked with was confidential, so I can't really like add things to that. But I did a lot of like personal database like information updating and things like that, and so it got my toes wet with working with different like softwares and databases. And so that was my second artifact. And then my letters of recommendation were to again, another high school teacher that just really shaped me a lot. And I didn't mention her in my stakeholder section, but she is somebody I owe a lot of my current abilities to, I think. And she just as well has just been a cheerleader and an encourager in my life. And then somebody who I don't know, they know me well, but I don't have like a personal relationship with as much, but I worked with her for a summer while I had a part-time job, and so I really feel like she knows my work ethic and stuff like that. And so those are who I requested the letters of recommendation for. Moving on, life after college is still up in the air. I might just work as a para in the school for like in the school district here in Hutch for a while, because I originally wanted to be a secondary teacher, and then this past summer I spent the summer teaching kids in California. It was like a day camp, and I was in charge of the education station, so I just taught them everything from science to writing and math and all the in-between. And so the Lord has just really given me a soft spot for kids learning, and I think that's because so many teachers impacted my life, and have helped shown me my God-given abilities. And so I just want kids to understand that they might not be good at math, but they can certainly be good at something else, and it doesn't even have to be school related. So that's one of my options. And then obviously, like I said, like being an office manager, or kind of that means just like an administrative assistant or whatever, that's a real possibility. And so I am just so reliant on the Lord, and I know that no matter what I do, it's exactly what I need to do, and that I just want to pursue Him, and where He leads me and how He leads me, and He will use the gifts He's given me. And I'm just I'm excited for the future. I have kind of like no plan. I'm working on it now, but I really don't have any set plans, and I think that's okay. So this wraps up my portfolio presentation. Thank you, guys.